Good evening, everyone. We will call to order the Oxnard City Council Community Services, Public Safety, Housing and Development Committee meeting scheduled for 6:45 to 8:15. And Madam Clerk, if we can have a roll call and posting of the agenda, please.
Member Zaragoza.
Here.
Member Madrigal.
Here.
Chair McDonald.
Here.
The agenda for this meeting was posted on the City Hall Bulletin Board on March 7th, 2023.
And Member Madrigal, would you be so kind as to lead us in the flag salute?
Please stand. Please put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. That takes us to item number B, public comments on items not on the agenda. And Madam Clerk, I don't have any speakers up here on this section. Do we have any speakers virtual or otherwise?
Chair McDonald, we do not have any speakers virtually or in person for this item.
Thank you so much. I got it right the first time. We'll see if I can keep doing it the rest of the time here. Takes us to the consent agenda. Item number 1, City Clerk Department approval of minutes from the last meeting. Have the committee members had an opportunity to read the minutes? Any questions or comments?
None for me.
No. And a motion would be in order?
I move to approve.
Second.
Second? Did you second, Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Madam Clerk, we have a motion by Member Madrigal, a second by Mayor Zaragoza. Please vote.
Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you very much. That takes us to item D1, Police Department. Police Department military equipment acquisitions. And just a clarification here, this description was given to us by the state of California. This is not necessarily military equipment, but the state of California chooses to call it that. But this will be a report regarding the equipment that the police department does have. And the recommendation is that the Community Services, Public Safety, and Housing and Development Committee receive a report and recommend that the City Council approve the police department's purchase and use of the below-listed equipment defined by California Government Code 7070(c), close parens 5 through 7070(c), close paren 10, as, quote, military equipment. And the items listed in the agenda are DUI enforcement command trailer, traffic collision investigation response van, unmanned aerial vehicle response van, 3 patrol sergeant command vehicles, 3 precision rifles, and chemical agents. And pursuant to Measure M, there was a pre-recorded presentation on the city's YouTube video channel. It says Jason Benitez is here, but I know he's out of town. Commander Kelly, I'm presuming you're going to be the answers if we have any questions. Do the committee members have any questions or comments?
I just want to thank, the police chief and also the Commander Kelly for, I think one of the misnomers, if you want to call it, is called military equipment. But the use, as Mayor Pro Tem mentioned here, are multi-uses, that I think are real beneficial to our police department, number one. And number two, it's my understanding that there's no funding coming from the general fund, which I think is really important that we share that. So any additional information, Commander?
No, sir, I don't have anything to add. Just if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer any specifics on any of the items.
No additional. As I understand also, if there's some of the supplies were really hampered because of the supply chain concerns that I think we need to understand that also, because it's like many other items throughout the whole supply chain industry throughout the state and the U.S. for that matter.
Correct.
So you have some concerns with that too. Are they in order now, or when do you expect to get all that equipment?
Well, we actually have to, we have to get approval from committee and council before we actually acquire those items. So once we do, we have the funding for it. So after that, hopefully it'll be.
And they're accessible once you get approval?
We'll see. We're still waiting on a bunch of patrol units from a year ago. So fingers crossed.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Member Montreal, any comments or questions?
No comments or questions, thank you.
Okay,
Go ahead.
I don't have any comments. A motion would be in order.
Chair
I'm
McDonald?
sorry. Are there any speakers?
We have one speaker virtually for this item.
Okay. My apologies. Told you I'd mess it up.
Caller with phone number ending in 0218. Please press *6 to unmute yourself and introduce yourself if you like, and you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Chair McDonald and Mayor Zaragoza and Councilmember Madrigal. This is Steve Nash, and I just want to give you my perception on this. I know it's a crazy world, and the police department feels like it's under siege, and they can justify all of this equipment. But when I look at the presentation, I see aerial surveillance, and I see sniper rifles, and I see fancy vehicles and chemical agents, and that's just a small part. I acknowledge that's just a small part of the total picture, but it just seems to me that it's another brick in the wall, as they say, between our police officers and the community. And I'll give you a little anecdote that happened to me today. I was at the Collection Starbucks with Arthur Valenzuela and my wife, and there were 4 motorcycle officers there getting their coffee, and we were there for roughly the same time. And I like making eye contact with my police officers and saying hi and thank you and everything else, and we never. They never made eye contact when we were both sitting outside, and I just thought it was kind of sad, because it's like, I want my police department to, be there for me, and I want them to know who I am and that I'm on their side. So, I fully expect you to go ahead and approve this, and that's fine. But we have to keep in mind also that the police. Our police officers should be, fully engaged with their community, and just smile and say hi. And hopefully, we won't need this military equipment. And it is indeed military equipment. So anyway, have a good evening, and I'll speak later on Orman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nash. And there are a couple of members of command staff here. I'm sure they will return their comments to the troops back at the police department. So. If there are no other comments, a motion would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk, we have a motion and a second. A motion by Mayor and a second by Member Madrigal. Please vote.
Motion passes 3-0.
Okay, thank you all. Takes us to item number 2, City Manager's Department. Subject is long-term management options for Ormond Beach. Recommendation is that the Community Services, Public Safety, Housing and Development Committee, 1, receive the report on long-term management recommendation for the Ormond Beach area, and 2, call for a public town hall meeting to present the recommendation, answer questions, and receive feedback. And pursuant to Measure M, there was a pre-recorded video on the city's YouTube channel. Staff member, City Manager Alexander Nguyen, to answer any questions. We do have a variety of speakers, so I'm going to ask for the speakers first.
Yes.
And City Clerk didn't even have to remind me on this. I got it all on my own this time. First one is Shirley Godwin by telephone.
Shirley, please press *6 to unmute, and you have 3 minutes.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, my name is Shirley Godwin, a longtime supporter of Ormond Beach. And my husband and I are very excited about the proposal that this could be, Ormond Beach wetlands area could become a federal wildlife refuge. We've talked to a number of people since we heard about that, and everyone we've talked to is very excited. Walter Fuller called this afternoon. He said this is a dream come true for him. We go back, not quite as far as Jean Harris did, but Jean Harris, a very famous person who worked for the preservation of Ormond Beach, 45 years ago, this was her dream, that there would be a preserve. In this case, the wildlife refuge would match her vision. She spent 30 years of her life advocating for Ormond Beach, and a number of us have followed with her. This is just very exciting. We're very grateful to the Nature Conservancy and the Coastal Conservancy, and now the City of Oxnard for getting involved and wanting to move this forward. So I highly recommend that that the city pursue whatever it takes to make this happen, and it does become a federal wildlife preserve. So I do want to speak to the next item on the agenda later regarding the Oxnard State Beach area, because that's how Jean Harris found out about Ormond Beach. The Oxnard city planner, when she was trying to advocate for a park at Oxnard State Beach, suggested she should probably take a look at Ormond Beach. And of course, she immediately fell in love with Ormond Beach, and so many of us feel that way. And Walter said today he has never seen the wetlands as full as right now, and there's just a massive number of birds feeding. Again, probably more than he has ever seen. So hope you move this forward. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll go down to Pat Brown.
I would say ditto to what she just said. I have photographs of a beach that has been restored in San Francisco, right near the Golden Gate Bridge, just to the east of the Golden Gate Bridge, east and south of there. Is an area that you should all go and see, especially if you want to know how this is going to be put back into its original state. You ought to go up and see Crissy Field, just right near the Golden Gate Bridge, and you will see all of the plants that are the natural, native, the walkways, the area that is made specifically for handicapped people and families, with seating in different areas and plenty of places to drive a golf cart through if you wanted to. In fact, they have several. And it's a very educational, actually, and it's very, very calming to the individuals who come there and watch it. It's very, very good for your mind. It really is. And it's what it was to begin with, and this needs to be what it was to begin with. I mean, the water came all the way up to where we have houses now. That used to all be underwater. Don't you realize that? This is really, really important. And all this water, rain that we're having is wonderful. Wonderful. I collect it in buckets and pour it into my bushes and whatnot. It's just wonderful. We've got to get going on this. There are a lot of people here in Southern California that want this. Maybe they don't actually live here, but they want it, and they will be here to help in any way they can during the course of its rejuvenation. So thank you so much for having this meeting. I also would love to have another one if you want to. We can bring our pictures and we can show exactly what it's going to look like, believe it or not. And families, it's great for families, great for children. It's a wonderful, wonderful place, and we need it to be there for us. If for nothing else, for our longevity. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next speaker I have is Jason Stetler.
Hello, my name is Jason Stetler. I'm the general manager of the Ventura County Game Preserve. We're a neighboring property of the proposed Ormond Beach area. And Walter Fuller takes care of that area down there. And he called me today to ask me to come to this meeting. And us being a neighboring property to the proposed wetlands out there, we are kept out of the loop 100% of what's going on. I just heard that there was a comment that this is going to be a proposed federal wildlife preserve now. I'd like to know where to get some of the information and be kept in the loop. I'm a neighbor out there. I've been living out there for darn near 20 years now, and this is all news to us. And over the past 10 years, we've lost some of our access to the beach. We can't walk our dogs out to the beach anymore. Can't ride our horses out to the beach anymore. And we've been kept out of the loop of a lot of decisions that have been made. And so I want to keep an open dialogue with the city and the other agencies involved, and just do this as a partnership. But I want to be kept involved in what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I think probably the hiccup there is your property is technically in the county area, so you don't show up on the radar screen, but we'll ask staff to make sure to reach out to you.
Actually, we have 17 acres on the other side of the road, which is just adjacent to this property that you guys are proposing. That's on the city side. So,
Okay.
So yes, we do have property on that side.
Well, I'll ask one of the planning manager or staff members to get your name and address, see if we can get you on a list. for
Wonderful,
notification.
appreciate that.
Thank you very much. And Madam Clerk, I believe Mr. Nash made reference that he wanted to speak on this item. Is he available?
Yes, Chair McDonald, we have 2 virtual speakers. So, Mr. Nash, you can press *6 to unmute, and you have 3 minutes. Mr. Nash, can you hear us? Please press *6 to unmute.
Thank you. Good evening again, Chair McDonald and Mayor Zaragoza and Councilmember Madrigal. You know, all these years ago, 2010, actually, when I retired from the city, really my first interest and my first love of all the things I love about Oxnard is Ormond Beach. And I remember writing a poem about Ormond Beach and reading it at a city council meeting. And that kind of got Carmen interested, and she consequently got me appointed to the Planning Commission. So I owe Ormond Beach a lot, and it is just, you know, I'd like to say it's the crown jewel of Oxnard. It is just such a fantastic dream, and now it's almost a dream come true. And, you know, I want to acknowledge Larry and Shirley and Pat and all of the members of the Saviors Road design team and all of the giants of Ormond Beach who came before me, and all of the supporters and advocates that, you know, we have among us today. This is just so fantastic, and I just have such love for Ormond Beach and Walter Fuller, and of course the you know, the critters and the wildlife down there, and the fantastic possibilities that this represents for the city of Oxnard and the people of South Oxnard. It's just indescribable to me to imagine a boardwalk really, can you imagine how great that will be to go down there and have our very own nature preserve? It really is just quite stupendous, and I'm so happy and exuberant and overjoyed about this. And so I want to thank the City Council and the City Manager for taking the bull by the horns. And, let's move this thing forward, and hopefully hopefully the restoration will happen before, some of us move on to the next phase. Anyway, thank you, and have a wonderful evening. Goodbye.
Thank you, Mr. Nash. And Madam Clerk, we have one more.
Yes, we have Pass Jacob. Please press *6 to unmute, and you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, council members. My name is Maripasa Cobo, and I am one of the board members for a local beach cleanup group, an environmental group, Coastal Keepers. And I would just like to make a statement on this item. On behalf of the hundreds of residents throughout the city of Oxnard and county of Ventura that have helped protect and restore our coastal ecosystem through cleanups, educational events, and community engagement opportunities, Coastal Keepers supports the city's decision to call for a public town hall meeting to present the recommendations and answer any questions regarding the long-term management recommendation for the Ormond Beach area. While we understand there are desirable entities and agencies that could potentially lead this effort, we do feel it is important that whoever is responsible for the management of this area conduct a full community needs assessment to gather accurate information on perceived needs, expressed needs, absolute needs, and relevant needs. As always, Coastal Keepers are here to facilitate access and understanding regarding Ormond Beach. We hope that you will consider agendizing and adopting our resolution recognizing World Wetlands Day and the importance of the Ormond Beach wetlands to the health of our coastal community and world, sent to the city of Oxnard via electronic email on January 1st, 2023. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else, Madam Clerk?
Chair McDonald, we do not have any additional speakers virtually or in person for this item.
Thank you. Mr. Nguyen, did you want to make any comments on any of the speakers' comments? Or?
No, sir. I think the staff report is very clear as well as the video. So we're here if you have any questions.
Okay. Committee members have any questions or comments? Mayor?
Yeah, again, I want to thank Mr. Nguyen, the staff for the presentation, for the long-term management options for Ormond Beach. Thank all the speakers, and I think we all feel the same, and one of the things that I see is really, really important, and it was shared by staff, that this is a rare and valuable ecosystem, wetlands, that we have there at Ormond Beach, and as was shared, potentially we could receive this report and potentially then set up a public town hall meeting to get additional information from the public as was shared today. And we're looking again at restoration of the Ormond Beach, come up with a public access to it and trails and visitor centers. And we've been working on this for many, many years, as was shared before. And finally, I think that it's important that we look at it. And I know that we had agencies like the California State's Central Conservancy, the Nature Conservancy, and those folks and others that potentially were contacted about this items. But my understanding is that one of the potential persons or agencies that can help us is federal management individuals, that potentially can help us with this project, because it takes funding. And again, as mentioned in the presentation, that we're not in the operations of those type of ecosystems, number one, and funding is going to be pretty tough to continue the work there. But with a proper agency, I think that we can manage that. So I really want to commend staff and all the speakers for the excellent presentation.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Member Montreal, any comments or questions?
No comments. I know this is a long time coming, and hopefully something comes to fruition soon. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll just make a couple comments. In one form or another, since about 1995, 96, I've been involved with the Halico site, which is part of the Ormond Beach general overarching area. And over the course of the years, with meetings with EPA, Department of Toxic Substance Control, so on and so forth, one of the questions they always seem to ask is, if we remediate this whole site, what are you gonna do with the surrounding area? Well, this is what we're gonna do with the surrounding area. We're gonna look at a wetlands, we're gonna look at restoring it, we're gonna look at making it part of its natural habitat, and that's very crucial to the remediation of Halico and the slag heap in terms of, I think EPA wants to see, you know, some improvement in the area, or trying to take it back to its natural state. I think that's very important to them. So this, to me, is a linchpin in terms of making all that happen. So, you know, I hate to use a derogatory term, but this is a no-brainer in terms of, you know, our actions. I think it's essential that we do that. So that being said, I would fully support this, and I'll move the recommended action.
Second.
And Madam Clerk, we have a motion by myself, a second by Member Madrigal. Please vote.
Motion carries 3-0.
And Mayor Pro Tem, I think the second item that was shared by our city managers that to call for a town hall meeting, which I think is to present additional recommendations, which I think is really important that the public understand that. Thank you, sir.
Okay. That did pass, correct? 3-0?
I think so.
We voted and it passed? Okay, I'm
Yes,
sorry, I got a
thank
little
you.
distracted there.
No problem.
That will take us to item D3. City Manager's Department. And it's a call for review of Parks Commission item regarding the proposed renaming of Oxnard Beach Park to Shumash or Mitsumas Beach Park. And the recommendation is that the Community Services, Public Safety, Housing, and Economic Development Committee review the proposal to rename Oxnard Beach Park to the Shumash (Mitsumas) Beach Park, and either forward the item to City Council with or without a recommendation, remand the item back to the Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission, or take no action. And pursuant to Measure M, there was a pre-recorded presentation on the city's YouTube channel, and city staff member on this is our city manager, Mr. Nguyen. And Mr. Nguyen, did you have any opening comments you wanted to make on this?
I just wanted to say that while having an item call up for review is rare, it's not actually unusual, so this is normal. I don't know, last I checked, not many people had viewed the video. So I know that the committee here has, and maybe it might be good to have the proposer just at least make an introduction. If you want to have him come up and tell you what happened and what the proposal is, I think that would be good.
Okay. We will ask Mr. Manuel Herrera to come up, and since he is the proposer of this action, we will give him 5 minutes to do a presentation to the committee. And then after that, we will take speakers as appropriate. So, Mr. Herrera, it's your show.
Thank you. So I trust that the committee members saw the video. In that video is where we gave the presentation. So we're not going to re-present the presentation because I trust that you all viewed it. But I did want to make the following statement. So members of the committee, my name is Manuel Herrera. I'm here with Mary M. Parra. She's a very well-respected member of the Shumash community. And we come before you once again in an effort to forward our proposal to honor the original caretakers of this land, the Shumash, by renaming Oxnard Beach Park with a Shumash name. Not just any name, but a name that is meaningful to the Shumash people. Before you are several options for which to pick from, as we did not want to prevent you from just one option. The options are Eloquoy Beach Park, Sapwarahui Beach Park, Mikshumesh Beach Park, and Walatmu Beach Park. In picking a name, we decided to set the following criteria in an effort to please not only the Shumash community, but also the non-Shumash community. The criteria that we set is as follows. The name must be a Shumash name. obviously. The name should be as easy as possible to pronounce so that all citizens of Oxnard can embrace it. The name should be significant to the area of Oxnard Beach Park. We feel that one of the names listed as an option, Alicoy, is the name that meets all the criteria. First of all, Alicoy is a Chumash word. It's the Chumash word for dolphin, which is part of the Chumash creation story. Second, it's easy to pronounce. And third, it's significant to the area. I will have Miriam Parra briefly explain the creation story and how the dolphin is part of the creation story.
Haku, Hakti Marianne. Hello, my name is Marianne. Part of our creation story was revealed in the 1940s from a relative of Ernest Ignacio de Soto. She is the daughter of the last native speaker, and her uncle had the creation story. And as we understand, Hutash, which is our Mother Earth creator, the island of Santa Cruz, Limu is the Chumash name for it, was becoming too full with Chumash people. So she told them, I'm going to send you over to the mainland and go and create and fill up the mainland. She created a rainbow that stretched from the islands out to the mainland, and she told them, whatever you do when you cross, don't look down. So as children often do, we don't listen to our mothers and fathers or our grandparents. Some of them started to look down and they became dizzy and started to fall into the ocean. As she realized many of the Chumash people were falling into the ocean, including children, she immediately tried to save them. So she turned them into dolphins so that they could swim and they wouldn't drown and they would forever be there. We also have an Alicoy song that is meant for when you're feeling down or depressed or you're sad. We call on to the Alicoy, to the dolphin, to help lift us up when you feel like you're drowning and you just can't breathe. They are the ones to come in and help lift us up and bring us and save us out of the water.
Thank you, Mary. Oxnard Beach Park is famous for the school of dolphins that reside in that area. Many tourists come to Oxnard Beach Park just to see the dolphins. So you can see why dolphin, Alicoy, is a sacred animal to the Chumash people. Now let me explain why we didn't pick the other options. First of all, it was our understanding that Sap Warahui was the name of a Chumash village in Oxnard. However, some have questioned whether that was actually true, as some claim that Sap Warahui was in Westlake and not Oxnard. Others claim that it is in Oxnard and that it depends on which map you see. So because we didn't want any controversy, we decided not to make Sap Warahui our first choice. Mi'kmaq was not picked because according to some Chumash, Mi'kmaq translated means Santa Cruz, and it would be like naming the park Santa Cruz Beach Park. The word Mi'kmaq, from which the name Chumash is derived, means makers of shell bead money, and is the term mainland Chumash used to refer to those inhabiting the islands. Once again, this option became somewhat debatable, so we decided not to choose it. Walatmu was not chosen because it means landing place, and technically the Chumash...
How much more do you have?
A couple minutes.
Can you do it in a minute?
Sure. Walatmu was not chosen because it means landing place, and technically the Chumash landed throughout the southern coast and not just Oxnard. We also found that there's a place name called Walatmu in Gaviota. So again, that became debatable, so we decided not to choose that. So in an effort to make things easy for the committee and eventually the city council, we feel the best and easiest name in which to honor the Chumash people would be to name it Alicoy Beach Park. And to show even more fairness, we decided to use the Ventureño spelling as opposed to the Barbareño spelling. This is the spelling that the Barbareño Ventureño Band of Mission Indians requested. Speaking of the Barbareño Ventureño Band of Mission Indians, several of their members had made some comments in the Parks and Recs meeting that I wanted to address really quickly. Sal Ambriz, who was originally involved in the early attempt reaching out to the Barbareño Ventureño Band, claims that our communication suddenly stopped with no explanation. What happened was that I was communicating with both Matthew Vestudo and Sal Ambriz, but according to Matthew, they were not willing to include other Chumash who were not part of their band. According to Matthew, and I quote, "We represent all Chumash in this area, even those that do not want to be part of our band." So,
Okay,
can I get just 30 more seconds?
I think we're good, thank you.
Okay, now we're here to answer any questions, concerns,
That's my line.
or any comments.
Do the committee members have any questions or comments for the presenters or for city staff?
Do we have any speakers on this item?
We do. Let me take the speakers and we'll call you back
Yeah,
up. First speaker I have is Shirley Godwin.
Shirley, please press *6 to unmute, and you have 3 minutes.
Yes, my name is Shirley Godwin again. I think it's very interesting that this is on the agenda the same night as the Ormond Beach item because of Gene Harris's involvement in both places. And of course, we all know this is Chumash land and we respect that. And this is what makes Ormond Beach and all our coastal areas so special. And all of us that care about our coast know the history and recognize this is Chumash land. But a little history on Oxnard Beach Park. When Gene Harris came to Oxnard, when she retired as a teacher, in 1970, I think she came in 1976, right away she fell in love with the coast over by where Oxnard Beach Park is now. And when the housing development was proposed, it was to be a huge development. There was going to be no park. There was going to be no public access. And Jean fought very, very hard. She spent a lot of time meeting with city staff, and she talked to a major landowner, Archie Bard, who owns also land by Ormond Beach, and he donated $100,000 to the city to buy the parkland for Oxnard Beach Park. And Jean, it was a tough fight. The developers offered her a free condo if she'd back off, but she didn't. She said a park was so important and public access in front of the housing, and then the hotel was absolutely essential. So at her memorial service, a number of city officials said that Jean needs to be recognized someplace by Oxnard State Beach, which originally was a state beach. It actually, Jean brought in state legislators. It was a state beach before it became a city beach. And that, again, was thanks to Jean. And said she should be recognized in some way for saving this area. I personally think the dolphin name would be wonderful for that. And in conjunction with that, I think it's time that maybe the walkway that leads in front of the housing and the hotel be named in honor of Jean, because we wouldn't even be talking about this as a public beach
30 seconds.
Jean Harris had not done this. And as another aside in the connection with Ormond, from the time the visitor center was proposed, a Gateway Visitor and Educational Center was first proposed, it was always to include probably at least half of the visitor educational center, an area on Chumash history as well as wetlands. So you see how these all tie together, and I think this is, the dolphin name would be wonderful, and hope you can also, at the same time, honor Gene Harris for making this possible. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next speaker would be Casey Rodriguez, please.
Haku, hello. I speak to you tonight as the first ever Chumash elected executive board member of the California Democratic Party of Region 38. First, I would like to say thank you to all who have spent over a year on this project in many meetings and countless hours of researching, especially Manuel Herrera and Marianne Parra for being the heart and Manuel for being the heart to start this project. After discussing this with Elder Julie Tummermite-Stensley, my heart is in favor of naming the park Alacoy. Alacoy has been favored by different sides that have been involved in this project, even by non-Chumash who found the name easy to say. Alligator dolphins are a very sacred animal to us Chumash people. In our creation story, as you've heard, some of our relatives did in fact turn into dolphins. It's really hard to think someone could really dislike this choice as long as it is clear that the name was chosen to only reflect our connection to dolphins and not any particular person with the name, because there are a few in this area with the name. Making sure there's art displaying dolphins, paintings, water fountain, etc. is a crucial consideration, and making sure the name is rightfully spelled in the Ventura dialect. However, before we okay the spelling, I would suggest having hard evidence that shows that spelling is indeed correct. Lastly, approving this project will also be a great way to continuing to keep the spirit of our very much beloved Carmen Ramirez alive in Oxnard. For it is a well-known fact that she did not only understood the importance of Chumash representation, but she indeed helped create it throughout Ventura County. And out of respect for her, I believe there should be some sort of memorial site for her at Alacree Park, as well as Ormond Beach. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next speaker I have, and I apologize because I'm pretty sure I'm going to butcher this name, but Robin Redwater? Was I close? You were right. I've never seen it spelled that way before, so.
Yeah, you did perfect. Haku Kianti Kakti Robin Redwater. My name is Robin Redwater, and I am full support for changing the beach name to Alokoi. I think it's very important we have Chumash representation, and this is a very small but meaningful step that we can take. So thank you.
Okay, and Ms. Parra, since you're a presenter, technically you shouldn't be allowed to speak. Mr. Herrera had 3 minutes. He kept you down to 2, so I'd be willing to offer you another minute if that's okay. Yeah, I'm in a good mood. Go ahead.
Haku Mechitani, just thank you for giving me this time to speak. I just wanted to say that I am the great-granddaughter of the first Chumash woman to be taken from Limu, which is Santa Cruz Island, and to be baptized in Ventura. I'm also the cousin of, the cousin of the last full-blooded Chumash from Wainumu, which is now known as Wainimi, and there's also a park there dedicated to the Wainumu village. Also the cousin of Fernando Labrado, who was a famous Chumash person that assisted also with the language in Ventura Harrington. Great-great-great-great-grandfathers, Winsalo and Hawina Set. My parents have been doing the Native American monitoring. They were the first ones to start in the county of Ventura and Santa Barbara and out to Malibu. They've been doing it even before Julie Tumamite, and she does recognize this. So our family has been involved, and I'm just extending. I've been involved in Foothills Forever President, Advisory Board for CRR, Satacoy MAC, the Ventura County Emergency Climate Emergency, Cultural Director for Santa Barbara and Ventura County. So I have come here with an open and honest heart to just really work on this project, and we have been trying so hard to come together as a community, and that we're not stopping that. It's other people that don't want to do that. So we're just coming here to get this done because I think it's time, it's overdue.
Okay, thank you very much. Madam Clerk, do we have any other speakers on?
Chair McDonald, yes, we have 3 virtual speakers.
Okay.
And the first one is Mr. Nash. Mr. Nash, please press *6 to unmute, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, and good evening once again. I'm in favor, strong favor of renaming it Iroquois. And if any of you have ever gone out to the islands and seen one of those huge pods of dolphins, you smile, you feel joy, your heart is so glad to see these beautiful creatures, excuse me, that, depression, if you are depressed, it lifts away from your shoulders and all you feel is joy. So I think this is an important thing for our community to have, and to recognize that we can find peace by going down to the ocean, and if Grace is with us, we can see dolphins surfing the waves and really near offshore, and it's a beautiful sight. So So I want to thank Manuel Herrera for his advocacy in this, and certainly the Chumash elders. And I strongly recommend this. I think it ties in beautifully with what we're trying to do with the Oregon Beach. And thank you for the chance to speak on this issue. Good night.
Our next speaker is Naomi. Please press star 6 to unmute, and you have 3 minutes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hello, my name is Naomi Tungui. My family has lived in Oxnard for the past 2 decades. And I'm calling in strong favor of the name change for this Oxnard Beach Park to Alicoy. I think it's beautiful all around to learn this history and to preserve this history for generations to come. It's just a small step to continue to educate the community about the people who continue to fight to preserve this land. You know, as we see climate chaos, we're again, with this name change, again, being a very small step, a necessary step. It just reminds us of the need for more matriarchal Indigenous leadership in our communities to work for city council to work directly with these women and with more Indigenous people who hold so much sacred knowledge. So this is just work that's getting started. And I hope you all are as excited as I am to move forward with this name change, to be able to breathe into that park and know that we're doing the right thing for the land, for the people, and to see, you know, what we can do next. And to look out, you know, and see the dolphins and just know of this history. I bet for a lot of us, it was the first time that we learned about this history, and now we all carry it with us. And it's, I think it will protect that park even more and make sure that, you know, the species there are protected, and so forth. So anyway, that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Zoom user. Please press star 6 to unmute yourself and introduce yourself if you like, and you have 3 minutes.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ana Rosa Vicentino, and I'm an Oxnard resident. I'm also with the Central Coast Climate Justice Network and definitely want to support the renaming of this beach to a Chumash name, the Alicoy name. And also, I just think it's important to mention that I actually find it disrespectful the short amount of time that our Chumash siblings were given to give this presentation. We are literally on their land. So as far as I could see it, they should be able to talk as long as they would like to for their presentation. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Chair McDonald, our next speaker is Cookie Guzman. Please press star 6 to unmute, and you have 3 minutes.
Haku, and good evening. My name is Cookie. I'm a Ventura and Santa Barbara Chumash descendant. My grandmother is Isabel Tumamite, and my grandfather is Frank Arianes. I would like to thank Mariana Parra and Manuel Herrera for the numerous hours they have put into research and bring the renaming of Oxnard Beach Park. My original choice is Sapwatuhui. Anyone putting imitations on a name due to pronunciation isn't being truly accepting of the Chumash history or validating our spoken language. As you can see, it was hard for me to even say it. That's my descendants. I'm colonized and to speak English, no longer our traditional language. So I believe our history is heavy and difficult to tell, to accept, and even to agree upon. I am agreeable to rename the beach park to Alacoy with the agreement it is with the Mitskanakan Ventura spelling, and this name is to represent a dolphin and in no way represent any individual or family. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, any other speakers?
Chair McDonald, we have no speakers virtually or in person for this item.
Okay. And I would just make one quick comment, and Mr. Herrera, I'll ask for a yes or no answer on this. We have a letter from Dr. Johnson, who's an anthropologist at the Santa Barbara Museum of History, and he has Olacoy spelled out.
Okay. It sounded like I was reading it. Yeah. Huh?
I'm sorry, was that for me? No. Okay. He has the spelling of the word as Ololkoy. Would that be the correct spelling that we're looking at? Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. Do the committee members have any comments?
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I just want to thank Manny Herrera and Mary Parr and Casey and Robin and all the speakers that spoke today, because it's interesting, Mary Ann, that you spoke about the rainbow. I could envision this rainbow coming from the island all the way to the mainland. And according to the Shumash gods, I think is what you mentioned before, that some of the folks that looked down and fell into now became the dolphins. Interesting that you shared there, and I could visually see what was happening there. So the Ventureros are the ones that are proposing this, as opposed to the Ventureros and the Santa Barbara
Barbarenos.
Barbarenos. So I think that one of the things that I think that Manny mentioned was that, well, La Pa, I think, means the landing place, and then we have the village in Oxnard that it was supposed to be. We don't know if it was Oxnard or Westlake or so forth. But I also believe that this anthropologist, John Johnson, the curator anthropologist out of Santa Barbara, to me that means a lot, that he really studied this quite a bit, and calling it Alacoy as a name to be named, which means the dolphins. And after listening to the story of the dolphins, that happened here at Oxnard Shores. Is that what happened, Mary Ann? Well, that's part of our come up to the.
So that's part of our creation story. So we know the rainbow got sent out, but we don't know exactly if it, in those days, there's no Santa Barbara or Ventura. It was just considered the mainland. And that's kind of how resonates to how Shumash people think. If you were actually Shumash, we're not going to tell you, no, you can't come here, you can't do that, you can't be involved in that project. We're going to say, yeah, let's come together and try to do this.
So the
and
rainbow.
So the rainbow signifies that bridge of connection of our ancestors. So Mick Shumash, technically, somebody from the coast like myself would say, Mick Shumash, I'm a descendant of the island. And the people from the island actually didn't call themselves that. They had bear with me, Alap Shumash, which meant I am of the islands.
Yeah.
And so Limu actually means Santa Cruz. And I actually have, I guess I can give them to you. You guys can look at them. They're two excerpts from the book, and it tells you about whereabouts the Oxnard village was, because there was several in Oxnard. And then here, Walatmu, we know it was in Gaviota and not Westlake, because there's not beaches in Westlake.
Gaviota was more of the landing place, is that?
Yes, and because of that, surf was much calmer. And we know now at Oxnard, people do surf, but Oxnard Shores and Oxnard Beach Park, you don't see a lot of surfers out there because it's very dangerous and rough. Okay. And that is even the description.
So the other question I have is, and you probably know this, Wainimi means the resting area, right?
Yeah, technically Wainimu, it meant the sleeping place. So it was said when the Shumash, and through time it just got translated. So what it said is that when they came from Santa Barbara or Ventura before going out to the islands, they would stay in Wainimu, they would sleep and get up early 2 or 3 in the morning and leave out to the oceans.
And my understanding too, I heard another story over from the Board of Supervisors that the island Shumash would come and trade with the folks here with pines and
And the islands made was called anchum. That was our shell bead money, and so that was a currency that we had, and we're one of the first tribes that they've ever discovered to have this currency. And the islands was kind of like our mint. That's where it was made and processed and brought over.
That was a currency. Thank you, and again, thank you so much, Marianne, for
You're
sharing.
welcome.
So, Mr. Chair, I think Alacoy to me would be appropriate as far as I'm concerned, but my recommendation would be that we send this to the entire city council, for.
Okay. I was going to ask Member Madrigal if he had any comments.
That would be my recommendation. I'm sure that Madrigal has something else, but I'm going to thank you again for
Thank you so much.
excellent
Thank
presentation.
you. Member Madrigal, any questions or comments?
I'll just leave it short, I guess. I guess time's running out. But thank you for your hard work and dedication to this. Thank you for bringing joy to the community as a whole. According to the mayor, I'm all in favor, I guess. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I just want to thank all the people involved. And I've been able to watch a little bit of this process from the outside, and I know there's been a huge labor of love, a lot of work, and I appreciate everyone's time and efforts to get us to this point. So, Mayor, I will accept your recommendation as a motion.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Before you vote, can I make a request if our proponents of this proposal will submit the exact spelling to the city clerk so we can have it correct in the staff report when it goes forward?
Yeah, and I think one of the letters that we have from
That's
Dr.
why I read
Johnson.
the spelling out of the letter from.
Okay.
Okay, but we will ask them to, Ms. Herrera, when this moves forward to city council, if you'd be able to provide us the exact spelling that should be used, I'd appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you. I'd be willing to second the motion. Please vote.
Okay.
Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you, man.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Ordinarily, we don't allow clapping, but tonight we'll let you clap for 3 seconds, so.
You're Delphin today, so you can go ahead.
That will take us to item number E, items for future agendas. Do the committee members have any suggestions for future agendas?
No.
Not at this time, no.
With that, we will stand adjourned. Thank you all for all your time and efforts, and thank you all for being here.